Welcome to the Whurthy Events training video series. This is Module 1, the Staff Experience. In this fourth video, we're going to walk through Whurthy Task Master. We'll start by reviewing and overviewing what tasks are in Whurthy Events. We'll then look at My Tasks and finish off the video with a review of Team Tasks. A key design idea within Whurthy Events is something that we call Task-Centric Workflow. What does this mean? Basically, Whurthy Events utilizes tasks for two main reasons. The first main reason is to support team members in tracking their personal tasks or to-do items. The way you can look at this is to see this particular feature within Whurthy Events as a to-do application within the Whurthy Events application. Also, though, Whurthy Events utilizes tasks to assign activities to team members. So, for example, there are a number of workflows that are built within Whurthy Events, a number of which include approval tasks or follow-up tasks. So when an activity that requires approval or follow-up or coordination is assigned, then a team member receives a task. Now, the good news is that whether or not it's a personal to-do task or it's a workflow approval or follow-up type task, the basic idea of the task remains the same. So we're going to take a look at that, and we're going to look at both types of tasks in Whurthy Events in this video. Now, that being said, there are additional videos in this training series. So in terms of the specific details, we will be diving more deeply into different types of workflow, approval, and follow-up tasks in other videos. So don't worry about the specific context for now. The main intention is to introduce you to the concept of a task inside Whurthy and how they look, how you can work with them and use them as a part of your day-to-day responsibilities. And then finally, what we're going to touch on briefly, or rather introduce in this video, is that these tasks work in combination with a couple of elements within Whurthy Events. Now, the two elements are the PEEP, the Process Expertise Profile List, or the abbreviation is PEEPS. And then there's also LEE, the Learned Experience Engine. So these two features are designed to ensure that the right task is assigned to the right person at the right time. And so with this in mind, whilst this video won't dive deeply into the PEEP or the LEE features, we will be introducing them and then covering those in more details in future videos. Okay, with that said, let's dive in and take a look at the staff experience. So what I've done now is I've jumped into the staff experience inside a Whurthy Events portal, and we're actually using the demonstration portal. So this will look pretty much the same as your environment with maybe a few little subtle differences. You can find tasks by clicking on the Whurthy Events icon or logo at the top left of the page. Now, if you're using your own environment, your organization has a Whurthy Events solution set up, then you will have your company's name or your logo in the top left. In this case, this is the Whurthy Events demonstration environment. So when we click on this brings us in effect to the home page. And the home page has two main sections to it. It has a section for My Tasks, and then at the bottom here, we can see a section for useful links. Again, you can review the links in your own convenience, but the My Tasks, this is designed to make it easy and convenient for you to get to your tasks. You can also get to your tasks by looking to the sidebar on the right-hand side of the page. And as we look at the first My Account section, we'll see a link here for My Tasks. So there are two ways to get to My Tasks. Now, as we look at My Tasks, we've got an Add a Task button. We will be looking at that in a minute. We also have a Filter Task section, so we can filter by entering some text. So in this case, I've actually done a search with the word approve in the task title field, and it's brought up this approved task. I'm going to be showing that a little later. And then we've got a status field, a priority field that we can search by, and we can also search past due as well. In other words, we can search for tasks that are past their due date. So with that said, let's have a look at how we add a task. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the Add a Task button. I'm going to review how tasks look inside the Whurthy Events application. So what we're about to review on this particular form, these are fields that are common whether or not you are working with a personal task or a task that you've manually created, or you are working with a task that was created by Whurthy Events as a part of some approval or follow-up workflow. So the first field we're going to see here is task title. So this is where you put in some form of task title just to describe what it's about. And this really just means to be meaningful to you so that you understand what the task is about if you look at it at a later date. And this, the more relevant it is, the clearer it is, the clearer it will be if you say, look at the task a few months later. So for example, I may put in a task title as create task review video for Whurthy Events. So that this task is describing my creating this video. Then we've got a few fields beneath this. We can see we've got a task priority field, assign team, and assign to. So I'm just going to review each of these. The task priority, you've got the choices of high, normal, and low. So by default, it's going to select normal. You, however, can select high if you want to obviously place this task as having a higher priority. Now, that will have an impact on how it displays in your task dashboard. So I'm going to set this as high. Assign team, this is an optional field. You can enter whatever you want in here, but typically our recommendation would be if you have, or if you're a part of a larger organization with a number of teams, you might then put the team name in there, or you may just leave it blank or put in the company name. In here, we've got then who it's assigned to. So this assign to drop-down field will allow you to select from any staff member. So this is a way in which you can create a task and assign it to someone else. In this case, I'm going to select myself here, and obviously only staff are going to show in this. The next two fields, then we can see task status and due date. So task status, this field is what you get to use to sort of track the progress of your task. So if you're putting in a task manually and you want to put a placeholder or something to jog your memory later on, you might just leave it as not started. If you'd already started working on the task, you might select in progress. Deferred, the recommended approach for the third is you typically have entered in a task in the past, and you may update the task and change it to deferred just to indicate that we've set this aside for now. There's something happening and we're waiting for something else to happen before we can come back to this task. And then obviously completed. When you select completed, that will move the task into the completed page, which we'll get to see when we go back to the dashboard. And then due date, you just select a calendar date here. Now, this again is an optional field. What will happen is, though, if you select a date, and if we select a date, I'm deliberately going to select a date in the past, that will actually have a bearing on how the task displays. And we'll look at that in the dashboard when we're done adding the tasks. We've got two more fields here. We've got a task description field, and you notice there's a little asterisk by it because it's saying it's mandatory. So here, the general recommendation is that we're really adding the detailed notes for what the task would be. And so if, for example, I've got this creating a review video, I can start using the ribbon here, create storyboards, review with team, record, and, get approval. Whatever your process may be simpler than that. And then the final field is actions taken. This is an optional field, but this just allows you now to separate out the description from what was actually done. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and click on the Add Task button. So now we can see a flash message in the top of the page telling me that this task has been added, and I get to see here the task details with the task and when it was created, its priority, its status, and so on, along with the description. And so with that in mind, this really shows us the basis of how we can go in and add these manual tasks. And one more thing to show you, though, is as I look at the bottom here, I can see there's a task history log. I can click on this checkbox here to show the log, and it will actually track every time an edit is made. So the Whurthy Events application will go in and it would just mark who made the change. In this case, it was created, but when updates are made, it will also put in the name of the person who did that, the date that they did it on, and it will also just note the key information related to it. And the basic idea of this is this just provides you with a little bit of a trail in terms of what happened over time. So with that in mind, what I can do now is I can go back to my tasks. And so now I can see, without having the search active, I get to see I've got add a task here, button we already clicked on. It's telling me, because I don't have a filter or the search on, I've actually got 39 active tasks in my case. And this is where having the filter can be really useful. And so as I scroll down here, I can see that this task has been entered in, create task review video for Whurthy Events. And what you'll notice is that this task has a red background in this title row. That basically is indicating that it's past its due date. And I can see also the due field here has the date that I entered in that was in the past. And then I could go ahead and click on the past due checkbox, click filter tasks, and then it's only going to show me that task that is late. I can clear the search, and then I can return to all of the tasks that I've entered. If I wanted to edit it, then I could click on the link here, and then I could review. And then you'll notice after we work through the description, we can see these 4 buttons here. I can go back to tasks. This will take me back to team tasks, by the way, which we'll look at in the next part of the video. And then this edit task button is what I'm going to click to edit the task. I could add a task, and there is also the ability to delete the task, although only super users can delete tasks. So if you are looking at this functionality and following along in your own environment, you may not be able to see the delete task button. I'm going to go ahead and click on the edit task button. And I'm going to go here and just put in, created or drafted, storyboards, booking meeting. And what I may do here, I can come in here and even start using the formatting. I can click the strike through option. So it'll show a little, a check mark that I've done that. And then I may put a note here as to what I need to do. I may update the description, I need to review this with Lyle and with Jason. And you can use this as you want. I can go ahead and just click the update task. And then when I scroll down to the bottom here, we just get to check on the show log. And this is where we get to see, oh, okay, yeah, it was now updated. And I've even noted actually that I left the status as not started, but I'm going to edit it once more because the reality is, in this case, it's actually in progress. I'll go and update it. And now when I go to the bottom, we can see, it's actually tracking that the status had changed it in progress. So with this in mind, this really is a value-added tool that's embedded as a part of Whurthy Events. And just a final little note here, not only does the description show, but as soon as you start entering in actions taken, it actually shows you, whatever you've entered in there as well. And just the final note then, if I come down here to the right-hand side, look in the administration section, I should see the tasks link. And this will take me to the team tasks. And so when I get to this page, I get to see all of the tasks, and I can also search by assignee. So this is where you can start looking at the team and the tasks that are assigned to the team. So this can be particularly useful if you are someone who is assigning tasks to another team member or to other team members. This will be a great place for you to start in terms of being able to track how or what's happened with tasks and how they're doing and what progress has been made and whatnot. At the top here, we also have the ability here where we can see that in this environment, we've got 55 active tasks and 50 completed tasks. I can click on the completed tasks. And now this is just going to show me the completed tasks view. And again, I've got a link now where I can go back to the 55 active tasks. And there we go. Okay, so what I've done now is I've reviewed the basic functionality of a manual task. What I'm going to quickly do is just to review and introduce this idea of task-centric workflow. So if I click on my tasks again, there's actually a task that was created as a part of preparing for this video, and it's called, or the title is Approved Cancellation Request for Cowan. We're actually going to be looking explicitly at this the workflow in another video, but I just wanted to introduce you to the idea of a task and how it's really there's a lot of similarities, a lot of overlap, whether or not it's a manually created task or it's a workflow created task. So if I click on the title, it's a little bit different now, because what we've actually got here is we have the task title, but we also have instructions that have been entered in. And then there's quite a complex amount of information. Now, also in addition, at the bottom, we now have a task action section. And so whereas before, we were putting in information such as the due date and the priority and the status and whatnot, in this case, this workflow task doesn't need to display that information. It really is focused on presenting the right information to the right person at the right time. So that's all covered in these instructions and this task description. And we'll be reviewing this in other videos, how this all gets built. And for the purposes of this video, we don't need to really be concerned. But the big difference here is that with this task action section, now this particular task is looking for approval or declining. And so the staff member, the team member that is assigned that appropriate responsibility or approval authority now would go ahead and then they would enter in their decision and complete the approval task. And at that point, the task would be marked as completed. Now, I'm going to go back to my tasks here. So really, that concludes the review of the Whurthy Task Master. The idea that there is this feature where you can use the tasks feature within Whurthy Events, just as a way to track your own to-do items for yourself and or your team. But also these tasks are used extensively within various features or workflows inside Whurthy Events. And we will be reviewing those in the videos to come. But with that being said, that concludes the review of tasks in Whurthy Events. Whurthy, value made easy.